Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tine Smarane Hoy Vigna Vinashan Anayashe Hoy Nijavanchita Puran Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Madgavir Apigo Pala Sri Kuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaiva Sangpaya Pitva Rishyayus Tat Prayajanaha. Usually, when beginning a talk, we read a verse from Srila Prabhupada's books. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read instead from a paragraph from Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. Very important book, which you all please read time to time. Are you working on that, Kishore Prabhu? It's your next project, is it? Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Going on. Srila Prabhupada wrote, therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. This quote was sent me recently in an email by one of my godbrothers, Tejas Prabhu, who speaks fluent Telugu. Although there are not that many Telugu devotees here, even though we're in the Telugu-speaking area. I mean, there are, but maybe not more than 20%, I would think. He learned Telugu before he joined ISKCON. He's from America, and he came to India on the United States Peace Corps. In other words, instead of going to the army, instead of going to the US Army, you could join the Peace Corps, and they go around the world and they civilize people by teaching them things they learned in America. So he was assigned to a tribal area in Andhra Pradesh, and they taught him Telugu before he came. And he became a devotee before he met Srila Prabhupada, before he'd heard of ISKCON. Most devotees, the huge majority of devotees in the West, started chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra thanks to Srila Prabhupada, almost everyone. But he learned it by seeing it written on the side of a bus in Telugu script, which had been painted by some disciples. He wrote to me, Gauriya Math devotees, which must mean presumably disciples of Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, one of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, who was active in Andhra Pradesh. So he started chanting that. and he had friends who were Sri Vaishnavas who taught him that Krishna is supreme. So he had a very good idea of Krishna consciousness before he'd even heard of Prabhupada or ISKCON. And then he went back to America, and in university he met devotees of ISKCON, and he became initiated by Srila Prabhupada and came back to India, and he was assigned to preach in Delhi, so he learned Hindi. Anyway, I won't tell his whole life story, but he sent this to me, this quote, with a query. And he knows the answer, but I suppose he just wanted to elicit some Krishna conscious thoughts from me out of his kindness. And I wrote back that, well, I'm not going to reply now, let me think about it. And I thought it was a good topic to speak on in this Shravan Kirtan camp, as it discusses the matter of initiation. And his query is like this, is that so many Indians are chanting, they worship Vishnu, but they're not initiated, or maybe initiated by someone who's not very bona fide. So do all their activities of bhakti come to nothing? If they're chanting the holy names, then Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you all know very well, that the Lord has Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha. That Krishna has many, many names in which he has invested all his potencies. The names are none different from Krishna. And there are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. And I'm elaborating on what he wrote. But he also wrote that there's the consideration of chanting with vyavadhan, which means there's a gap between the syllables. For instance, I can't think of anything, but someone may say, rather you should go and see your mata. So Radha has the syllable Ra, and then Mata has Ma. So in between there's a bunch of words, nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, but Ra, Ma. So that's also kind of, actually that comes slightly, because Ra, Ma. So anyway, you get somehow or other, if you chant the name of Krishna, you can be liberated. So what's all this about without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed? What's all the meaning of this taking initiation? Anyone can chant anywhere, anytime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kayate shuite jata tota nam aloi desha kala niyam nahi sarva siddhi hoy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said there's no consideration of place, time, or any such thing. You can even lie down and chant Hare Krishna. You can't do yagyas lying down. You may be doing the yajna feeling tired and you can't lie down. Or you may be doing the yajna and you're feeling hungry and you can't do swaha and pop some pakoras in your mouth in the middle. You're not allowed. The effect of the yajna will be... Anyway, it's just ridiculous to even think about it. But you can lie down and chant Hare Krishna. It's not recommended, but it is possible. Or another way of looking at it is, when you lie down to rest, then think of Krishna also. Or chant the names of Krishna. When you eat, you can think of Krishna. Chant his names also. So what's going on here? What happens to all the people who chant but are not linked by initiation, by a bona fide spiritual master? What happens to them? We all know very well the verse, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other way for reaching the topmost destination but chanting the holy names. In this Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is very bad. Kale dosha nidhe rajan asti eko mahan guna. Kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha parang vrajet. Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. But nevertheless, it has one great quality, that by doing kirtan of Krishna, chanting the holy names of Krishna, one can be delivered from the faults of Kali Yuga. One can be liberated and go back to Godhead. So it is a very bad age, but Krishna has mercifully advented as his holy name. Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar Nam Hoite Hoi Sarva Jagat Nishta. In this age of Kali, Krishna has descended, his avatar, as the holy name, in the form of his holy name, by which the whole universe can be delivered. So Kali Yuga is very, very bad. There are three antidotes, three main antidotes, which are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first one I just quoted, Kale dosha nidhe rajan, and actually we'll find throughout the Bhagavatam that the best known antidote for the influence of Kali Yuga is the holy name. And there's another one which is very well known, which is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. And it is the Bhagavatam itself. The Bhagavatam itself is an antidote to Kali Yuga. Krishna swadhamo pagate dharma jnana tivisaha kalo nashta drishamesha purana kodunodiraha. Krishna left to his own abode, and with Krishna go all good qualities, dharma, jnana, religiosity and knowledge, and spiritual knowledge. When Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. But in this Kali Yuga, people who are overcome by the darkness of Kali Yuga, means the ignorance of Kali Yuga, will get light from this Bhagavat Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the most famous antidote to Kali Yuga is the holy name. Lesser known, the holy name antidote to Kali Yuga, everyone who knows anything about Vedic culture recognizes this. All the sampradayas, they all recognize this. all the Vaishnava Sampradayas, even if you go to real Mayavadis, that means those who are actually in the line of Shankaracharya, not just some made-up hodgepodge Mayavadis. I mean, it's all hodgepodge, but there's some is more podge. But the real Mayavadis who actually follow the Vedic principles, they all recognize. In Kali Yuga, Harinam. Srimad Bhagavatam isn't so well known, but that's also an antidote for this age of Kali. And the third one, what's the antidote for the age of Kali? Anyone? Not someone who printed this out for me. Anyone else? Anyone think? Krishna consciousness. Well, everything's included in that. Anyone? Anyone? Satsanga. Twang na sandarshito dhatra. Anyone got it now? Dustaram nistitir shatam. Kaling sattva harang pumsam. This is from the Bhagavatam. Kali Yuga takes away all good qualities from a human being. But karna dhara ivarnavam. Shonak is addressing Sutta Goswami that, this is Srila Prabhupada's translation, we think we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. If we see the Vyasa Puja offerings to Srila Prabhupada, we'll see that this is often quoted. That the Guru is the person who can guide us across the ocean of the age of Kali. Especially if you see the early Vyasa Puja offerings, because devotees didn't know so many verses in those days, and there was only from the Bhagavatam, only the first canto available. So this is from the beginning of the first canto, right in the first chapter. So these are three antidotes to the age of Kali. So that brings us back to the point that why we need initiation. Is it you just get initiation and then you're connected with Krishna, and then somehow or other the chanting gets better? You sit in a ceremony for a little time and then all of a sudden you're connected with Krishna. In this regard, we can remember more advice from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Diksha kale bhakta kare ata shamarpan. Shai kale Krishna tare kare ata sham. At the time of initiation, a devotee fully surrenders himself. So if we just sit in the ceremony, that's not initiation in the full sense of the term. In that sense, initiation is an ongoing process. Just like if you hear that someone got married 10 times, you'd think that's really, he got married 10 times. There's someone in this locality who's been married thousands of times. His name is Srinivas, and he lives on the top of the hill, and he gets married every day. Means it's an ongoing. Srinivas means otherwise known as Balaji, Govinda, locally best known as Srinivas Venkateshwara, the Lord of the hill, the 7 hills up here. So he gets married every day. So it's a reaffirmation of the vows every day. Exactly why you want to tell them? Not now. If he tells you about, then we can have one whole Shravan Kirtan camp just for telling pastimes of Venkateshwara. So it's a reaffirmation of the vows. So daily we have to think, what am I doing in Krishna consciousness? What are we doing here? Why did I take initiation? What is that initiation? It's offering ourselves. And then Krishna accepts us. So you see how this fits? Sheikale Krishna Tare Karayata Sham. This fits with what Srila Prabhupada states in the Nectar of Devotion. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. So it's a means of establishing the relationship with Krishna. Again, it's not just a formality, but Atma Samarpan means we give our whole life, our whole being. Another way that it's an ongoing process is because we are initiated into the process of Sharanagati, which means the process of taking shelter. We're not pure devotees, generally. We're not pure devotees. That's why we're in this material world. We take shelter of a spiritual master to give training, to uncover our natural Krishna consciousness. So there's a process. It's called Sharanagati. There are 6 angas. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanang rakshishyatiti vishvaso gotridve varanang tata atmanikshepa karapanye sharavidha sharanagati. The vow to only do things which are pleasing to Krishna, favorable for advancement in Krishna consciousness, to reject all things that are unfavorable, to have the feeling, the attitude that Krishna is my protector and maintainer, to just throw ourselves at Krishna, to fully give ourselves to Krishna, and in a mood of utmost humility. So these are 6 factors regarding which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at the beginning of his collection of songs, which is known as Sharanagati, in which he gives guidance on how to navigate the path of Sharanagati, how to progress on that path. So at the very first song, he sings, Sharanga Sharanagati hoibe jaha taha prarthana shune Srinanda Kumar. Who has got, who is possessed of these 6 factors of Sharanagati, who's practicing Krishna consciousness seriously, such a person's prayers are heard by Krishna. Krishna hears everyone's prayers. Everyone's going, who goes up the hill, they all have something to ask from him. He hears, he reciprocates. But he's not so happy with people coming and saying, solve my tax problems, get my daughter married. These are the kind of prayers people... Money, that's the main one, isn't it? It's the main thing here. Is money, 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 money. My business, Saptagiri hatcheries. I'll give half the profit. You see things like that. Sri Venkateshwar wine shop. You see things like that. And they're very successful because they give, many of them they have written in a contract, they'll give half their profit. And it works. So he hears, but he's not very happy. He really wants to hear someone praying that may I have undivided devotion to your lotus feet. There are more people praying like that nowadays, thanks to Srila Prabhupada. Not so many pray like that. Most people are praying for money. So that brings us to the point that what's all this initiation? What difference does it make? And Srila Prabhupada says that without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. So the actual connection never really takes place. The actual connection, what is the actual connection with Krishna? Jiveswarupai Krishna Nityadas. What is our connection with Krishna? Making a phone call to Krishna. Please don't make phone calls or take phone calls during the talk. Kindly. You have a connection to someone else, but right now you're supposed to be connected by hearing. Now, what is the connection with Krishna? We accept He's the Supreme Lord and we are His servants. Very simple. It's not a very difficult philosophy to understand. Krishna is supreme, we are all His servants. So what is the connection? We have to serve Him. How are we going to serve Him? We've been forgetting Krishna for so many lifetimes, and even if we try to serve Him, why should He accept it? Because so many people will do service, but it's, what's that term Srila Prabhupada used? Time serving. Means you're only doing it for a time. It's not taken as a permanent service. It's someone works, they have their office timings, 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. And they work, and they go and they forget. Nowadays you have online and all this kind of thing. But you're doing the service for some money. And people may do that for Krishna also. They may come to the temple and do very nice service, sweep the floor. They may have material motivations. But when one accepts initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, it's with the understanding that I'm doing this to be trained both in mentality and in activity how to serve Krishna. What for? Just for the sake of serving Krishna. That's all. And then Krishna reciprocates because he thinks someone is serving, I should give something. And he'll give love of himself, which comes from that service. So this is the meaning of initiation, is to have that attitude of surrender, accepting myself to be an eternal servant of Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to be trained in that, and to be accepted. Just like in the temple, you may be doing some service, but if it's not approved by the priests, that won't be counted. We may have our own ideas of doing service. We may think, well, I like to eat meat, so let me offer some meat to Krishna, but Krishna won't accept it. Or we may want to offer something to Krishna, but we can't get near to Krishna. Krishna is very close, but he has his guards also. No one could come close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless they were intimate associates. He had his own group. Otherwise, he had a very small room he was living in. If anyone wanted to recite some Krishna conscious poetry to him, they weren't allowed to. They had to get permission from Sri Damodar. He would not allow them if their offering, which in their own mind might have been very devotional, but Sri Damodar wouldn't allow it if he thought this will not please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, what about this statement from Chaitanya Charitamrita? Dikapuras charja vidhi opekha na kare, jivas parshe achandal shabare udhare. That it's not necessary to take initiation or to go through any preliminary processes. Simply when the holy name touches the tongue, everyone from the most sinful is uplifted or saved. So what's the meaning of that? Then you don't need initiation. Some people are propagating this. That you see, it says you don't need initiation to chant the holy names. The holy name will deliver us. Interestingly, there's a long purport to this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, given by Srila Prabhupada, following his own gurus, speaking about the need for initiation. And we see that all the Gauriya Acharyas who worship Chaitanya Charitamrita, they themselves took initiation and they gave initiation. And the same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who said this also instructed Rupa Goswami about the process of Krishna consciousness, beginning Tasmad, what is that? Tasmad Guru Sharanam Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam Vishrambena Guru Seva. So the first things are to take shelter of a guru, to take it, and then that's the first of the 64. And then the second one is to take initiation. So how do we understand this? This is one reason why there are acharyas, to harmonize what might seem to be contradictory statements within Shastra. You just can't take one statement out of context and take it as authoritative, overriding all others. We have to see what other statements are there, how this has been received, how it's been practically practiced. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did. He took initiation, although he is the guru of the whole world. He took initiation. He directed others to take initiation. Gadadha Pandit, for instance, on the advice and with the approval of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, took initiation from Pundarika Vidyanidhi. So what's going on here? It's not rejecting the process of initiation, but it's bringing out the power and value of the holy name. How pure and important is the holy name. But there is consideration in how we chant, which is why at the time of initiation, the 10 offenses are recited and explained. Because we have another teaching from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ashadu Sange Bhai, Krishna Nam Nahi Hoy, Bahire Nama Kara Bate Tabu Nama Kabu Nai. That if someone is chanting but not in the association of devotees, in other words, not under the guidance of devotees, then it made the syllables Krishna may be vibrated. But that's not really the holy name. Now, how does that fit with the example of various forms of nama bhas? Hela, Stoba, Vyavadhan, what's the other one? Hasya. Neglectfully to praise someone else with no actual connection with the holy name. It's like you may say in the Western countries there used to be what's called laundarama or cinerama. Laundarama is where you go to wash your clothes. And cinerama is a fancy name for a cinema. So we have there the name Rama. There's no connection etymologically with the name or with Rama, the person. But still, that's counted as an namabhas. And then again, this Vyavadhan, you say, rather I would think of another matter. So Ra, blah, 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 Ma, Ta. So we have Ra, Ma, but separated by other syllables. Again, nothing to think about Rama, the name, but somehow or other the name is said. That can give liberation. Namabhas gives liberation, but it doesn't give love of God. For that one has to take necessary training to even know that there is such a thing as love of God. Most people in Vedic culture don't even know. Vedic culture means what? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. People are interested in dharma, following all the rules of religion, and artha, economic activities, kama, fulfilling material desires, and then very few are interested in moksha. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prema pumartho mahan. The real necessity of life is love of Krishna. Krishna Vishayak Prema Param Purushartha Jar Age Trina Tulla Chari Purushartha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that prem, the prem is a well-known word in every Indian language. The word is there, prem. It means love. But what is the meaning of it? Love means centered on Krishna. Krishna Vishayak Prema. This is the real need of life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. In comparison with which, all this dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, it's like some insignificant straw. Quite a statement. Quite a statement if we consider the whole Vedic culture. Bhagavatam says the same thing at the beginning. At the beginning, kicking out everything else. Dharma projita kaitava atra. Here in this Bhagavatam, whatever else you learned previously, all rejected. So what is the difference between chanting when initiated or not initiated? In one letter, Srila Prabhupada wrote, yes, there is definitely a vast difference between initiated and non-initiated. One who is initiated is authorized, and one who is not initiated is not authorized. Just like, for example, Pradyumna is attending class in Sanskrit in a college. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Pradyumna, he was learning Sanskrit by going to a college so that he could help with Srila Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavatam. But he was not enrolled in the college, but he was allowed to attend the classes. So Pradyumna, Prabhupada wrote, Pradyumna is attending class in a college. He is given a chance to learn Sanskrit, but he is not equal with the regular students. Srila Prabhupada gave this as an example. Means he can study, but he's not allowed to take the exam. It's just something he's doing on his own. Of course, he was doing it under Prabhupada's guidance, but Srila Prabhupada is using this as an example. Srila Prabhupada continued in this letter, One who becomes initiated is channelized to the authorities in the disciplic succession. One who isn't initiated may chant Hare Krishna and should certainly be encouraged to do so and serve in his own way. And gradually by doing so, he may want to be initiated, but otherwise he may fall away from following the rules and regulations. More chance of falling away. Of course, we also see those who take the vow and do fall away. But that is shameful. That should not be. You take the vow, you're supposed to stick to it. Just like in Vedic culture, or actually any culture, even in Christian culture, people get married and they take a vow to remain together, and they do. And it's not expected or even thought of that they could break that vow. You get married, you're married for life, unless you accept sannyas. That's something else. But otherwise, you take a vow and you stick to it. So this initiation is supposed to be taking a vow. It is taking a vow in which you fully surrender yourself, and then there's no going back from that. Now you're in it. There's no doubt that anyone who chants the name of Krishna in any way is tremendously benefited. And they're much better situated than someone who doesn't chant Hare Krishna. But still we criticize them. Why is that? I'll give an example. If someone is just newly coming to the association of devotees, we'll ask them, are you chanting Hare Krishna? Yes. How many rounds are you chanting a day? 2 rounds. Oh, very good. Then we meet someone else, he's initiated. How many rounds are you chanting a day? I don't see you chanting much. 2 rounds a day. What? You said you'd chant 16 rounds a day and you're only chanting 2 rounds a day. So for one person, Jai Gauranga Nam Loi, Tar Hoi Premodoi, Tare Mui Jai Bali Hari. Yes, congratulate. Very good, you're chanting 2 rounds. And someone else chanting 2 rounds? Oh, what a rascal. Only chanting 2 rounds. So we criticize Hindus in general for not taking to Krishna consciousness very seriously when you have the opportunity. But you don't take it very seriously. They're very near to Krishna, but they're keeping themselves far away. Something I often used to hear, it's not in the Veda base, so it's not considered bona fide, but we often used to hear this, that Srila Prabhupada said that Indians are very close to Krishna, and Westerners are very far away from Krishna. But the Westerners, those who come to Srila Prabhupada, they're going as fast as they can to Krishna, whereas the Indians are going the other way, backwards. They're trying to run away from Krishna. No racial connotation here, but it's said to be said by Srila Prabhupada. And it, generally speaking, it fits. So until we surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and follow the sadhana that he prescribes, which is given in disciplic succession, if we don't follow what the Guru says, then what do we have to follow something. We follow our own mind. And that's the reason we're in this material world. We've been following our own mind. That's the problem. So we may chant Hare Krishna, or we may go to temples, but we have our own agenda. But when we surrender to the Guru, we follow the agenda that he gives. Well, you have to follow what the Guru says and take. Some devotee said to me just 2-3 days ago that, well, I've been chanting so many years, I'm not making any progress. So I said, do you go to Mangalati every day? Well, not much. Then? Oh, this doctor's no good. I've visited him so many times. Do you take the medicine he gives? No. It's not this, you just touch the disciple on the head and then he gets some electric shock and then all of a sudden you get Krishna praying. You have to do what you're told. If you follow the process, it will work. And again, it's not just following the rules. You have to imbibe the whole attitude of pure devotion. Krishnarte akila cheshta. Everything we do should be for pleasing Krishna. So when we do that, diksha kale bhakta kare ata samarpan. When we take initiation, we surrender to a guru. If we actually do that, then we will be saved from our own selves. There's a very dangerous person who's been giving me trouble all my life. Who's that? Me. We need to save ourselves from ourselves by giving ourselves to the person who knows what we really need to be properly situated. We have to be saved from our own independence. And then, Guru Mukha Padmavaka Chitete Korea Aikya Ana Kore Homane Asha. We have to make the instructions of the Guru our life and soul. And by doing that, we get linked to the whole chain of disciplic succession. There's a lot of mercy. If we take all the Guru, what outstanding figures. Our own Srila Prabhupada. His Guru, what a powerful Guru. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. These are all our friends and well-wishers, ready to help us. But we have to do our little bit also. Another example given. We've fallen in the well of material existence. The Guru throws the rope. We have to take hold of the rope and hold on as we go up. And it may not be very comfortable. It may be very difficult to hold on. But we have to hold on. That is the mercy. We have to take it. If we take shelter of the Gurus, sadhus, that's equivalent to taking shelter of Krishna. Mahatma nastu mang parta daiving prakriti ashritaha. The great souls, Krishna says, they take shelter of my internal energy. Otherwise, daivihi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya. We're small beings. We either have to take shelter of Krishna by the process of disciplic succession, or we're in the so-called shelter of Krishna's illusory energy. So many Hindus worship the illusory energy. They think of her as their mother. Durashraya, bad shelter. She's very good. But in that form, she gives shelter which is not going to be conducive to our eternal best interest. If we don't surrender our independence to the Guru, what happens? Then we're still on the manoratha, we're still traveling on the chariot of our mind. So we have to have that vow, Atma Samarpan, what I'm told I shall follow. Then we'll be able to progress in devotional service. Otherwise, this Bhakti Devi is independent. She's not forced. Actually, even if we follow all the rules given by the Guru, even then it's not forced that now I have to get praying because I'm chanting so many rounds and I'm following so many rules. That again is not the right attitude. But if we have the attitude of simply wanting to serve Krishna, then surely Bhakti Devi will be merciful to us. In this regard, there's a relevant quotation from Narayan Tantra, taken from Srila Prabhupada's books. Samanya darshana loka muktir yogyatma darshanat. Darshan. Everyone's going for darshan to Tirumala. But here it said samanya darshan, ordinary seeing. Most people see the Lord with their ordinary vision. And by doing that, you can go to the heavenly worlds. By material vision, the benefit of having darshan of the Lord, you can go to the heavenly worlds. But who sees the Lord with spiritual vision attains liberation. So it's a matter of attitude. Anyone can chant Hare Krishna. But taking shelter of a guru means we're trained in the attitude of by which we can go to Krishna. There's a difference between surrendered devotees and even very pious non-surrendered persons. We know the uncle and father of Raghunath Das Goswami, Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, I'm joking, but it's not the kind of joke you usually make about a friend, saying that he told Raghunath Das, your uncle and your father are like worms in a pit of stool. Say, I'm going to make a joke about you. You're like a worm in stool. It doesn't sound like a very nice joke, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm saying it just jokingly. What is that stool pit? The stool of material enjoyment. So they were very, very pious people. They were maintaining the brahmanas, and they had enough sense that when someone blasphemed Haridas Thakur, they threw him out. He was an employee, Brahmana employee. They threw him out from this. So they had some good Vaishnava sense, but they were attached to material enjoyment. So there's a difference between initiated in the sense of fully surrendering to Krishna and not initiated. Of course, whether Krishna gives his mercy in the form of suffering, or he may come in the dream of a neophyte. We often hear that, I saw Krishna in a dream. Okay, very fortunate. But what about serving him when you're awake? That's more important. We don't hear that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami how you should go to a hypnotist and have hypnotism so you can see Krishna in your dreams. There's no such thing. That can be another kind of illusion that, oh, I saw Krishna in a dream. If you actually saw, or I went to Vrindavan and I saw Krishna dancing with the gopis, then why did you come back to your material life in Bombay, you rascal? Why are you still attached to your friends and family? But Krishna, he's always trying to bring us to him. So those who are neophyte, they're very fortunate. Just there's some connection with Krishna. But the real good fortune is when we recognize that Krishna's been trying to pull me all these lifetimes, and now it's come in the form of Guru to bring me to the real point, to the right point, the going back to Godhead point. Hare Krishna, I'm going to finish there. Thank you very much for listening. Please go and take prasadam and come back again by 10:30. Is it? The next program, 10:30? Yeah, 10:30. Is it Kirtan? Yeah, okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dante nitaya chunakang padayani patakritvacha kakushatam etadaham ravimehe sadhava sakala eva vihaya durad goranga chanda charane kurutanu raga. Parivadatu jano yata tata va nanumakarana vayang vicharayama. Hari rasa madhira madhati mata bhuvi vilupa manarta manir visha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.